Hello, and welcome to Talk the Thrones. I'm Chris Ryan. I am an editor at TheRinger.com, and joining me in the studio is Joanna Robinson.
Oh, hi.
And sitting in the Ashford chair, it's Mallory Rubin. We are here to break down the first episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, coming at you just after this. Guys, we're back.
We're back, baby.
Joy.
We're back, and we have such a bite-size, digestible television show this time. It's 6 episodes, about 40 minutes each. I get it. I have no questions. You're not needed. I can just break this down.
Should we go? Great. It sounds like we can go get a coffee.
Done. All right.
I'm so excited to talk about this show with you. This might be my favorite piece of Game of Thrones content since season 3, season 4 Thrones.
Yeah.
Maybe some mid-peak Thrones. I feel like this is giving me the same vibes. Joanna, great to see you. I assume huge fan of the show, but pleased with the first episode?
I was so scared that this wouldn't be phenomenal.
Were you really?
I was, because the books are phenomenal, and I was just like, they have to do it right, and I think they really, really did it.
We are
so
going to
excited.
talk about the books, which I have not read.
I'm shocked.
So you might have a question or two for us. Oh,
Ma'am.
Mal, everything you hoped for?
And more,
Yeah.
honestly. I think they have nailed the tone, the sensibility, like that specific essence, not only of these novellas that we adore and maybe can compel you to read over the next 6 weeks, we'll see, but also have given us that feeling of like being back in a world that we love and being glad to be back in a world that we love. And I, for one, am grateful and grateful to be here with you both. I've dreamed of you. Yeah.
are you gonna follow that up with stay away from me?
I'm gonna slump over in a pool of wine and then march off some steps in a very notable fashion.
Just leave a little bit of change for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a quick recap of this episode, but
fantastic.
obviously
Heck
you
yes.
two are free to interject wherever you want.
Okay.
So episode 1, The Hedge Knight, we meet Sir Dunk, soon to be known as Sir Duncan the Tall, as he buries his old boss, Sir Arlen, and contemplates his own future as a newly minted Knight of the Realm.
Do you want live fact checking on how you have spelled character names, or should we just hit you up on the side after the podcast?
Do you remember
Like
before we
Arlen
started?
Specter, former senator of
Do you
Pennsylvania?
remember before we started,
I would say we have
and
two-
Mallory's like,
two names
we
and
will
they're both
interject with
spelled wrong.
compliments. And I was like, no, I don't think
Mostly
that's what's
about
going to
how
happen.
charming and witty you are, but also
I think
that the
Mallory's
names are spelled wrong.
dying to correct you on
Well, look,
things.
here's
It's all
the
in
problem with this
education.
show is that you can't really Google a ton because it'll just be like, and then he died.
Don't Google anything. Do not Google a thing. Stay out of the wikis. Stay off the internet.
That would be a cool bit for the second half of my life. Is just no
Do you
more-
need the
I don't
internet for
Google
any other part of
anything.
your job?
This is like a thing I'm hearing around LA as I've been here the last couple of days.
People
that people
offline?
are bricking their phones.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, for certain apps.
Too much time on Instagram?
Certain apps, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
As he takes stock of his possessions, a sword and a few horses, and his prospects, life in King's Landing as a member of City Watch, etc., he decides to enter a tournament in Ashford Meadow where he might make a name for himself, make some bank in the process. Oh, while all this is happening, he takes an enormous deuce. I mentioned this. You know what? We're
Gigantic.
going to come back to that because I'm not a big bathroom guy in terms of just talking about it extensively.
Okay.
But I think it's an important moment in this show. And
I agree.
Tone setter.
Can the Chiron be Chris Ryan, big bathroom guy?
Not big
Not a
bathroom
big
guy.
bathroom guy.
Don't spare me your stories about famous bathroom trips. On the way to Ashford, Dunk stops at a small village
Noted.
inn/tavern. That's doing some wonderful stuff with rustic small plate family style cooking.
Yeah.
He spots a little bald homie and has him stable his horses. While he's waiting for his multiple entrees inside the inn, a drunk dude tells Dunk that he has dreamed of him, which is always a fun thing to hear at a restaurant.
Would you have gone for the lamb? Would you have gone for the duck? Would you have gone for both? Like
both
Dunk?
heavy proteins.
Heavy meats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge duck guy.
Okay.
No.
Too greasy?
Like a tea smoked
Too tough?
duck.
I mean, like, it's always looks great.
Yeah.
But
It's rich.
I take 2 bites and I'm like, I wish I could share this. I wish I didn't have a full
That's
plate
why
of
I
it.
think
Share
I
it,
think to
unlike the
save
bathroom
money,
stories.
you just get the duck
Interesting.
because it'll fill you up, and then you have some for the road.
We can discuss this.
Okay.
Duck, overserved gentleman with blonde hair. When Dunk returns to the stable, the little bald boy asks to squire for him, but Dunk refuses.
Yep.
He rides to Ashford where it's infrastructure week and the whole town is out for the tournament. He has to sign in first, and that's where a tournament official tells him he needs some other knights sign off as validation on his authenticity if he wants to compete in this jousting and fighting and et cetera tournament.
Can I ask you as a podcaster, how did you feel about Plummer's relationship to Flem? And is this something that you've considered as a tactic as you podcast for hours at a time?
Is there liquid in the goblet or should it be empty for your loogies?
Full of, my
phlegm.
own spittle? Yeah. It's good that you asked this.
Yeah.
I grew up in a free spitting community in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Like among little leaguers where it was like considered cool to spit constantly.
So you're like, why even have a cup, goblet, a spittoon?
That's what the city is for.
How much of the lubrication on the lampposts everyone is climbing just come from people's spit in the city of Philadelphia?
It was just a big thing. It was like we would watch baseball and then we would go and do
all Metro. Are you about to tell a story about being an all Metro catcher?
It's city champs, traveling baseball.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I still have the jacket.
I bet.
Maybe I'll wear it for the finale.
I think Plummer needs some of Fennessy's soothing mint tea concoction.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like there are some homeopathic remedies. He obviously looks at it as like a personality quirk and not as something to be solved.
I think that the remedies are just like maggots and leeches at that point in the realm.
Save it for the pit.
Yeah.
So Dunk goes out to seek Sir Manfred Dundarian, but he's been napping and he also has gout, so they don't connect. Man. He watches another night, Sir Stefan beat the shit out of his squire cousin. Sir Steph tries to get Dunk to spar with him, but Dunk takes a rain check. Dunk sets up camp outside of the tournament grounds, does some laundry, makes another unsuccessful run at Sir Manfred, and then finds himself at a puppet show where he becomes smitten with the main performer. Dunk then bumps into the aforementioned cousin who got his ass beat, Raymond Fossaway, right?
Hell yeah.
And he accompanies him to dinner in Lyonel Baratheon's tent. This is just rocking stuff in here.
The king.
Lyonel and Dunk become something like friends, though, when it comes to Dunk's tournament process. But when it comes to Dunk's tournament prospects, Lyonel gives him the opposite of Billy Bob Thornton's Friday Night Lights halftime speech, and which I did appreciate his candor, though.
Absolutely.
And he's played by Daniel Ings.
Yeah.
I was going to say Danny Ings. He's a
of Lovesick fame.
Lovesick of The Gentleman.
The Crown.
On his way back to camp, Dunk finally meets Manfred, who seems like an asshole and denies knowing Sir Arlen. When he gets back to camp, Dunk finds his little homie Egg, who is doing a nice branzino on the fire.
Yeah.
The two become partners, knight and squire, and before they fall asleep, they see a falling star. Perhaps the only two witnesses to the occurrence. Maybe they will have some luck after all.
Beautifully done.
Here we get to the
Christopher
end.
Ryan,
beautifully
what an incredible
done.
job.
Thanks.
I missed these so much.
Details.
Genuinely
There's
missed
moments in there that I missed. We can get to those. But Joe, let's start with you.
Yeah.
What was your favorite moment of the episode?
Mallory probably already knows this answer. There's a dance scene in this episode, and I just thought it was phenomenal. I thought the dancing was incredible. I thought everything to do with Lyonel Baratheon's party in his tent and using antlers and all of his decorating and all of that sort of stuff was incredible. And then the falling star moment that you mentioned at the end. But I think you just asked my favorite moment, and I'm cheating already and smuggling a bunch of things in here.
That's how we do it here.
I think like big picture for book fans, almost every single line of dialogue, Mallory saw this, I went through with a highlighter in my book. Almost every single line of dialogue that's in the book is in the show.
Ira Parker, it's nice work if you can get it. It
However,
turns out you just take a photo of it with your phone and be like, here you go.
Unlike, except for the Lyonel Baratheon stuff, which is completely added and is incredible. Like all of that stuff is expanded. And so I was both really excited to see how faithful it was and then what his team can do when they want to expand into a character.
So Lyonel, like the dancing stuff's not in there, or even just the conversations
the whole
that they
pavilion
have,
party.
where he's talking
all
about
of it.
Burning people.
Like we wouldn't have met Lyonel Baratheon in this episode if we were going by the book. So.
Mal, what about you? What was your favorite moment of the episode?
So I figured Joe would go with Lyonel. I think it's hard to dispute that that's the scene and sequence of the episode for the reasons Joe mentioned. And I agree that the faithful nature of the adaptation is really heartening and cool and gives me like a lot of faith for the series overall. But the additions felt so like energized. I am torn between two picks here. One would be The Falling Star, which like made me tear up just seeing Dunk and Egg together, our hedge knight and his diminutive squire Egg. Like I'm just like, we're here. We're in the world.
Little homie, I believe is the preferred nomenclature.
Yeah.
And I think specifically the choice, because I've always loved The Falling Star, the luck moment in the book, but the subtle little shift to take an inner monologue moment for Dunk in the book and give that to Egg,
Mhm.
because as a squire, Egg will be learning a lot from his knight.
Mhm.
However, Dunk has a lot to learn from Egg too, and Egg not only being a little like impudent smartass, but sharing some wisdom, I
Sure.
think is great. And then the tie has to be, and I know this will pain Aleya to hear, the brief beat of the classic Thrones theme into Sir Duncan the Tall, like hippo spraying shit out of his ass. I remember once being at the zoo and a hippo, it's just like they really can project.
Didn't Chris say no
They can
anecdotes,
really
please?
project.
It's fine. Yeah.
Not since Yellow Jackets season 1 have
Oh
we
my
spent
God.
so much time watching someone take a shit by a tree. It was such a clever little way to say, okay, yeah, like this isn't the thing. We are a part of this world and this legacy that you love, but it isn't the exact thing that you've gotten before, and we want you to know that right away, which I just thought was like,
Despite my
brilliant.
aforementioned lack of interest in people telling me stories about like a particularly bad experience that they've had in the bathroom,
yeah.
that was also my favorite moment of the episode.
There we go.
It's really
and here's
good.
the thing. You want to know why? Because it's a show ruiner if it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're going to invoke the Game of Thrones theme song,
Yeah.
and I got to say, square that I am, when they started playing it, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones music's playing.
But the rest of the Dan Romer score was
Is
so
awesome.
good.
But
It's giving
just
me
like-
Bear McCreary like Rings of Power with a sprinkle of Battlestar bagpipe and some Outlander in a great like high fantasy way.
I
love
thought it was
Yeah.
like more like Disney animated Robin Hood. You know what I mean? It was just
absolutely.
like
Wow,
Yeah.
incredible.
we're going to the original text. I just thought tonally what it did was
Yeah.
it provided a thesis statement for the show.
Mhm.
Yes.
So it's just like, this is the height of, knightly values, and we're going to get deep into the throne stuff, but we're not taking ourselves so seriously that we can't make fun of some of this stuff. I think Game of Thrones, the original series, probably offset. They like subverted expectations with character deaths or with characters having sex with each other that perhaps shouldn't have, or things that
perhaps
we
who are related.
Yeah, perhaps.
Well, they were Endgame.
Spoiler.
They basically like offset like your expectations. They like subvert your expectations that way. This one, it seems like maybe there's going to be more offsetting subversion by tone, and I love that.
I was thinking a lot about Peter Coffey in that moment because, Ira Parker, the showrunner, has talked about how Peter is so perfect for this role because, like Dunk, he felt so anxious and insecure to take on such a massive role inside of this property. So I was just thinking of him filming that scene, being like, "Am I really about to take this kind of
another job?
Yeah, is this it for me? Taking this shit on my first episode of this Game of Thrones show."
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about the books, Joe, and we're like, this is a different kind of Game of Thrones series to recap and to talk about, I think, because we're maybe not going to have as many data points, perhaps not as many mysteries to solve or to tease out. There are some, but we'll get to that. But this is a little bit more of an appreciation for the depth and the kind of tapestry that gets woven, I think, rather than like, oh God, we have to decipher a dream that's been had or something like that, at least in this first episode. So tell me a little bit about these books. What are they?
Right.
And like, why did George write them? And I want to hear from both of you what your relationship is to them.
So 3 novellas currently exist. This season's going to be based on The Hedge Knight, the first one, which was written in 1998. I was in high school when
Wild
this
stuff.
when this book was
Came
written.
out before the second A Song of Ice and Fire book.
Yeah.
The first novella.
And this is George R. R. Martin just wanted to play in this playground that he has created for himself. And it's clear when you read these novellas, which are incredible, short reads, really, really fun,
Crazy.
light in tone, like great stuff, that he hadn't figured everything out yet. So there's like a few inconsistencies here and there. But I think the point why those books are so great and why I recommend them to a lot of people is that they're such a good introduction to Westeros.
Mhm.
I think some people feel intimidated by the A Song of Ice and Fire books, by their length, by
George R. R. Martin might feel intimidated by those books.
by the depth of lore. And so especially thinking about it in relation to that Hollywood Reporter George R. R. Martin piece that came out this week, where he's talking about being behind on writing, but actually he made some good progress on 2 Dunk and Egg novellas.
That's right.
And that's very exciting. And that's what I want George to do, which is just write these novellas, which are easier for him to just grease the wheels.
Let Kit Harington do the future of Jon Snow. Don't worry about it.
Sure, that'll be fine.
I've got some notes on that after the
That's
updates
a great
in the THR
idea.
piece.
But he's apparently given them a bunch of outlines for some other novellas. He's out made significant progress on 2 of them. So this could go for 10 seasons, 12 seasons, or 3 seasons. We'll see what happens. But there are definitely 3 novellas. And I think what makes them special is they're approachable. Their POV is so different to the POV of A Song of Ice and Fire. We're with Dunk, who's from Fleabottom, and we're with him in every scene of this episode, right? And I just love that different look inside of this world, what it means to look at it from that point of view. Mallory and I are huge lore hounds. We love talking about lore, but I just love that these books aren't burdened by lore. And so everyone's invited to play.
Mal, for you, anything you want to add about the books themselves?
I just co-sign what Joe said. I find them more delightful every time I return to them. I've always loved them, but it's been so fun, from the moment we knew the first trailer was coming at New York Comic Con in October, gearing up for the show when the casting was announced and we saw who were, the performers who were going to be embodying these characters. It's always a great feeling to have an excuse to fall back into a world you love or to be introduced to it for the first time, right? And I think that the Hedge Knight, the Sworn Sword, the Mystery Knight, they're all wonderful. I think that my favorite one tends to be the one I'm reading in real time. I think I would, if forced at arrow or sword point, pick the Hedge Knight, which this first season is based on, but I have a great affection and fondness for the other 2.
I would pick the Sworn Sword.
Sworn Sword is amazing, and there's some thematic richness in there that I can't wait for the 3 of us to get to talk about.
Yeah.
Maybe this time next year. I mean, they're in production on that already. And I think to Joe's point, the accessibility, the tone, the charm, in the run up to the series, I think as we're covering it, we're going to talk a lot about noble ideals, right? What does it mean to be a knight? The virtue at hand there, but also it's a Game of Thrones story. And so while I think there is an abundance of charm and hope, it can be dark. It can be scary. Even the characters who are driven toward some sort of pursuit of real, genuine honor, justice, purpose, meaning, whatever the case may be, are going to have pulls on their ambition or their conscience or any number of other things. And I love that about it. The idea of the Hedge Knight, right? Just this figure who, for many in Westeros, they look at a Hedge Knight. We get a lot of this in the first episode. And it's you're so sad. You have to call a hedge home. You've got nothing.
You're saying you, but the whores like to say it.
Red calling Egg, it was very tough. It should return at even fall. But Egg, he's your rope is, your sword belt is made of rope. And now there's the aspect of that where it's Sir Arlen's leather sword belt literally won't fit around Dunk. But also, what else does he have?
Too swole for leather, baby.
I mean... Great passage from a later novella that is, in essence, big hands, big feet. Gotcha. I bet you're big everywhere. Yeah. File that one away for our subsequent coverage of this wonderful story. But so it's are you a robber knight? Are you a baron knight? Can you be trusted? And Dunk, this embrace of the pure aspect of life as a hedge knight, but also he's I got to get some coin. This is my chance. Sure. I got to figure it out. Maybe I can find glory. Maybe I can make a name for myself. And that could all be encompassed in a tale that is succinct and full of charm. And this odd couple core pairing. they're wonderful stories.
Chris, where are you on audiobook life?
I'm still dedicated to reading.
Okay.
Books. So not a huge uptake.
I want to do a quick PSA, which we've talked about on House of R for the audiobook. These particular audiobooks are narrated by Harry Lloyd, who played Viserys on the first season of Game of Thrones. And they're just some of the best audiobooks I've ever heard. So, I mean, I know you can read a novella if you want to, but why do it when we're here to tell you everything?
At this point, I'm pot committed to the whole bit.
You're dedicated to the bit,
It provides
you
a little
will never
bit of...
read a word that George R. R. Martin has written, just as a matter of principle.
Do you skim over his quotes in profiles and stuff like that?
His quotes. I love his interviews. I just
you love his blog, yeah.
I thought I would ask you one thing about the books, though, which is, the Game of Thrones novels, from my understanding, each chapter is written from the POV of a different character.
That's right.
That actually seems to be one of the reasons that George is tripping up in finishing these novels, is that he's introduced 21 different POV characters.
His lore got away from him.
Then I write one thing and I realize I've screwed something up, so I have to go back and fix this in somebody else's POV. This show did something really nice for me, which is the show itself is shot from a POV. Like the show itself, the characters like Lyonel, for instance, appear the way they would appear to Dunk. So,
across the room.
Yeah, across the room, but also as this kind of like regal man of mystery rather than, of course, there's Lyonel Baratheon. Now let's just go through his timeline here and go through his family tree and who will come from him and who came before him.
Yep.
It's more like Stranger in a Strange Land. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Deadwood, you know, Deadwood did do a lot of POV switching between Al and Seth and everything. But the idea of like arriving at this new place and everybody you get introduced to is kind of through the steps that these characters are taking to meet them, I thought was just really solid. It's something that Game of Thrones as a show but it didn't do like super religiously. Like, it, you know?
Right, you would sometimes get it with like, what is King's Landing from Arya's point of view or something like that. Certainly.
Or like Dany would leave a room and then people would keep talking and the camera would stay with them.
Right.
Or whatever.
And Ira Parker's commitment to if Dunk's not in the room, we're not in the room is really, really smart. The books we're inside of Dunk's head in the books, and they've done a bunch of brilliant adaptive work of taking inner monologue and making it things he says to his horses or, you know, like, the, you know.
Incredible horse guy. Sir Duncan the Tall.
He's just
I
like
love it.
muttering his inner thoughts to the horse instead, but we're still inside of his mind and his world. I was thinking a lot also of the framing, the effort that they, you know, they really wanted to cast someone tall for Duncan and they did, but they cast Peter. They love him.
Yeah.
George was like, he's not quite
enough.
tall as
we're
Duncan,
making
you
him
know.
see.
So we have
like
him
6'11".
bumping into doorways.
Yes.
We're lowering the height of the tent, so it's like brushing, you know, and then we're seating like. We're casting shorter actors around him. We're seating people around him. Like when he's first talking to
Shorter
Lyonel.
actors, so actors.
Yeah. Well, when he's first talking to Lyonel, he goes up to the table and everyone is either seated or like leaning around him. So it's just like this wide shot, and he's just so tall in that shot. But it's something they have to kind of manufacture.
The way the cups look in his hands,
smaller in his
it's like
hand.
he's got a catcher's mitt for a hand.
Yeah, it's really it's movie magic.
It's great. Lyonel is supposed to be also gigantic.
Oh, I know.
Like,
so they're like,
so they have that line that lampshaded with like
not as big as I
not
thought
as
it'd
big
be.
as I thought. And it's like, yeah, because you're not 6'11". You're
Right.
pretty tall, but you're not 6'11". I agree. They've done a great job with that. And I think I like what you're saying a lot about the perspective and rooting us in Dunk's experience and through his eyes. And like one of the passages in the book, and this is incorporated into the conversation he has with Lyonel, where it's like, what chance do I have? And Lyonel gives that great, you have no chance.
Right.
You know, but like, it's a great honor to test yourself. Dunk was strong and quick. This is from The Hedge Knight. And his weight and reach were in his favor, but he did not believe for a moment that his skills were the equal of these others. And so you have him voicing a version of that. But to your point, you feel it in every step he takes throughout the episode. You know, when he's talking to Raymond and Raymond is like, yeah, I'm a squire. And Dunk gives him that look up and down. He's like, you fight pretty well for a squire. Now that comes from the text where Dunk is like, well, if he's a squire, what business do I have being a knight? Like, one of us is a fool.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need to, even though, as we said, like a lot of the lines are pulled directly from the text, he doesn't literally need to voice every beat of internal monologue for us to understand that he feels like,
can act it out.
I'm a fish out of water. I'm in a place where I don't belong. And part of what I can achieve is making people think that I belong here based on being here and what I do.
Yeah.
One of the small miracles of this show is that, unlike, say, House of the Dragon, where I feel like I had to do, even without reading any of House of the Dragon or the books it was based on, research just to even like figure out like who this guy is.
You were deep in the wikis.
You're such a wiki
I would
guy.
say too deep in the wikis.
I was also like,
your own
what
good.
am I signing up for? Like, I just kind of want to make sure we have an endpoint. Well, with this, I was going to ask you what you thought a viewer might want to know contextually about the world, the point in the chronology that we're at.
Love a BBY.
But I have to just say, it didn't matter to me. Like, for all I knew, this was happening like adjacent to Game of Thrones itself. And it really did give a sense of like depth and width to the entire kind of fictional universe that he has built out. But tell me a little bit about, Joe, you can start, like what we need to know about like when this is in relation to the first season of Game of Thrones and like what's going on in the world at this time.
Love a BBY.
We're 100 years before Game of Thrones. But fashion hasn't changed much in Westeros, so don't worry about it.
It's true.
But,
they keep it consistent.
Yeah.
Consistent. The trends don't move a lot.
Fashion's slow
a little
moving.
bit more regal in House of the Dragon.
in House of the Dragon, which takes
for
place far earlier.
Much
And
earlier,
so
80-ish years
I think the
before this.
most important thing historically to talk about is what's going on with Targaryens right now, which is that they don't have any dragons.
Yes.
We get a dragon puppet in this episode,
Sort
but
of
we're
a spoiler for House of the Dragon.
I don't-
I don't think it is. I will push back on that because we talked about this
I'm
actually.
sure, yeah.
No. But
But
I
like
think we
Game of
had a
Thrones
beat
starts-
of real anxiety about this when we broke the trailers
Yeah.
down. Like, fuck, is this? Now the show, it's clear there are no dragons in the show, so like it is what it is. But yeah, Game of Thrones, that's like
Game of Thrones starts, there are no dragons.
there
right?
are no dragons.
So guess
We
what?
know.
100 years before, no dragons.
Okay.
And so thinking about the Targaryens have just quelled a rebellion,
Blackfire.
the Blackfire Rebellion.
Which was also rumored to have been a spinoff at some point, right?
They
No?
might yet do it. It might interact with this show. We'll see.
Sick.
But like,
Yes.
can I just say the Blackfire Rebellion, one of the coolest things that happens in the history of Westeros. Imagine
good.
you're a Targaryen bastard
Mhm.
and you're like, you know what
Easy
I'm
for me
gonna
to
I'm gonna
envision.
name my family after the sword. We're the Blackfires. Like that's
Would you have gone with Dark Sister instead?
no, Blackfire all the way, baby. Anyway, so they quelled the Blackfire Rebellion, but the Targaryen rule is quite shaky at this moment,
Okay.
right? They don't have their WMDs.
Right.
They've just quelled a rebellion from inside of their own family tree.
Right.
Kind of barely.
Mhm.
And that was just 15 years before the events of the show
Okay.
was that rebellion. And so when Plumber, between spitting phlegm into a tankard, says their prince is about, right?
Yep.
The Targaryens are coming to this tourney.
Right.
And it's a backwater tourney. So the
Yes.
fact that the Targaryens feel like they need to be there, the royalty feels like they need to be at this tourney is very much like insecure
It's
power.
like legacy maintenance,
yeah,
kind of.
exactly.
Because I was going to
we
ask,
gotta kiss the babies and shake some hands.
Yeah.
you know?
I was going to ask, there's a Plumber line that's kind of a throwaway where he says something like, this is the Reach, not the Riverlands.
Mhm.
What's he saying? Is he like, this is Philly, not New York? Like, what is kind of?
I mean, it's interesting to continue to glean more insights into how you view Philly. You think Philly is the Reach. I'll have to reflect on that later. I mean, yeah, I think that was like a minor, it's a way just again to say like, and this is one of the fun things about the premiere and the story, look around at all the familiar sigils, right? We're in the Reach.
Mhm.
This is at Ashford Meadow, House Ashford, Lord Ashford, throw an attorney for his daughter's 13th name day. But we see just from watching this first episode, as Dunk is scanning the town that pops up overnight, you know, we've got our Baratheons, we've got our Dondarrions, there's a Tyrell, right? We know a lot of these families, like more of them are there than should be given the stature of House Ashford.
Right.
They are vassal lords to the Tyrells. The Tyrells are in control of the Reach. A lot of it is familiar. You know, the show is sandwiched between, as Joe said, Hot D and Thrones. But a lot of the families and key figures are familiar to us. Why are they all here? For all sorts of reasons. If you're in the Reach, you're going to be there. If you're in the Westerlands, you're going to be there. The Riverlands. In the Riverlands, I mean, the Brackens and the Blackwoods, they're still fighting.
Don't
Bird
worry.
of, the
They're
Bird
still
of Bracken
fighting.
has killed Lord Blackwood 3 years before this. Like, the tensions are high. The Reach, they still think, as Plumber with his delightful little Ashford chair bit indicates, this is a life of luxury and fresh fruit and wine, right? But I think the key thing for the time frame is what Joe said. It's not just that the dragons are gone, it's that they still live in memory. Like
Yeah.
Sir Arlen
saw
had seen the
A
last dragon. So it's recent enough. And I would say like that is a more precarious position for the Targaryens to be in actually than a distant memory.
Sure.
It's like to have for people who are alive to remember what your might and your strength looked like, but for you to not possess it in that form is a tenuous field on which to try to rule. Right? And then also there's
yeah.
like something like, you know, the king right now is Darren II, Darren the Good, who fought his great bastard brother, Daemon Blackfire,
Blackfire.
sick fucking name, as Joe said, in the Blackfire Rebellion. And he's the king who finally fully brought Dorne into the fold. And on the one hand, it's like, this is a titanic achievement in
Sure.
the history of Westeros. He marries a Martell. We'll talk about some of the hair color of some of the Targaryens we meet after in the rest of the season. But not everybody loves that and is super into it or into the preferential treatment that Dorne is getting through those political alliances. So whether people think that actually Daemon Blackfire should have been king, or why are you like giving Dorne X, Y, and Z, or any number of other things, it's Westeros. Someone's always bitching about something, but the Targaryens are trying to maintain a hold. after another call from inside the house. Like, we are still covering a show about a Targaryen civil war.
Yes.
The Targaryens love a civil war. They love a challenge from within, and the rest of the realm is always
They also
swept
love
up in
to
that.
marry within. So that's
They do.
that's
They love
as well.
incest.
It's a great
The
point.
Blackfire Rebellions like hang over all of these novellas. This one less, just because of, to your point, like how much
I don't
George
think George had figured it
knew.
out yet. Yeah, but
But the
eventually it
subsequent
will
ones,
be
for
very
sure,
important.
it's just like a shadow looming over the realm.
And in the
at this point in
novellas,
history.
is Duncan conversant in that stuff? Like, does it come up? Like,
they all are because
Redgrass Field.
everyone fought in this rebellion.
oh,
so
okay,
the kingdom
13
was
years ago, very
divided
recent.
essentially. So,
okay.
yeah.
Because I was curious about when he's going around trying to like stump for, he's like, I need somebody to sign off on me being a knight.
Mhm.
You might remember Sir Arlen, and he mentions like he's like my
Yeah, Vulture King.
Yeah.
right.
Red
And
Mountains.
they're all like, I don't remember. Why are tournaments important in this world? So it's a great setting for a TV show.
Yeah.
But I was curious, what is transacted at these things?
Yeah. So I would say there's a couple things to say. There would say George R. R. Martin personally, one of his favorite books ever is Ivanhoe,
Yeah.
which has this great tourney. And
For
so
sure.
he's like
Great movie.
chasing the Ivanhoe high, basically. But if you think about the way tourneys have been used inside of his storytelling before, the biggest one outside of this one is the tourney at Harrenhal,
Mhm.
right? Which is
Rhaegar and Lyanna.
basically where Robert's rebellion started, where Robert Baratheon got very mad that his fiancée Lyanna got crowned the Queen of Love and Beauty by a married Prince Targaryen,
Right.
right? So that happened at a tourney. A tourney is a place for all of these houses outside of the battlefield to mix and mingle.
Yep.
And we got a quote from one of our faves, Rhaenys in House of the Dragon,
Yes.
season 1, episode 1. She's talking about the tourney that happens in that series premiere. And she says, "These nights are as green as summer grass. None have known real war. Their lord sent them to a tourney field with fists full of steel and balls full of seed, and we expect them
Iconic.
to act with honor and grace. It's a marvel that war didn't break out at first blood." So that's not true of these guys because many of them fought in the Blackfire Rebellion.
Yeah.
They've been to war, but it's play act. We're play acting war, right? And all the houses get to fight each other without going to war with each other. So it's war of pageantry sort of thing.
Yeah, I like thinking about the fact that each show now has either prominently, like this show is just set. This
During a
first season
tournament,
is set
yeah.
during a tournament, or just early in the runs featured a tourney. Like to the Hot D point, that was the beginning. Viserys is like, gonna finally have that male heir.
Right.
It's not too soon to start the tourney, right? That's a really fun thing at the beginning of Hot D. Obviously very intense with the way that's edited and intercut. But of course, in Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
we have, the hands tourney
Uh-huh.
that does not want. And we get fun little discussions about, like, on the one hand, tournaments are incredibly expensive, but on the other hand, they're a source of coin too. It's this town that you're seeing in this premiere, like the merchants, the puppet show, the whores, right?
Literal
This is-
cottage industry.
Yeah, it's a bustling area of activity and for merchants and for commerce. But it's also a chance for glory.
Yeah.
It's a chance to prove yourself. And I like what we can learn about a given character by how they feel about that, right? So Dunk is like, there's this kind of beat throughout the first novella of like, the chance might not come again. Like, I must risk all, right? He's been with Sir Arlen since he was a boy in Flea Bottom. That's been his life, squiring for Sir Arlen. And now he's like, I'm on my own. I have Sweetfoot, Thunder, and Chestnut, and a lot of things to tell them and not a lot else figured out. I can make a name for myself.
Upward mobility
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah. But think about what Ned said to Jamie, right? This was on my mind actually when Sir Stefan was like, come spar with me. And then Raymond says later to Dunk, like, he basically likes to spar with people so that he can break them and hurt them before he might
He has
have
to
to
go
face
fight
them.
them in the
But also
tournament,
to study them, to learn about them. What did Ned, when Jamie's like, we're gonna see it, the hands tourney, and Ned's like, I don't fight in tournaments because when I fight a man for real, I
Kill
don't
him.
want him
Yeah.
to know what I can do.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that is just such a radically different perspective than somebody who is out there just for fun, or somebody
to show
who's
up
like,
your sick dragon helm if you're Daemon Targaryen.
mean,
But for
the-
this tournament, a
the
lot
helms
of
are
these
insane.
guys are battled. Like, they have just fought in the rebellion or in some
Yes.
other
Yes.
battle.
but some of them are like, okay, maybe it's experience. But for a lot of the guys out there, it's like, I want to be in the songs.
Mhm.
We talked about this on our trailer breakdown, but we both got a kick out of the first poster. The log line was like, a tall tale that became legend. And so much of Dunk's story and so much of the spirit of this show, even in one episode here, is rooted in what does it mean to, like, we got Serwyn of the Mirror Shields, in Tanzel's puppet show.
Yeah.
This is a fabled age of heroes tale, and a figure who, like, certain things that you'll hear about him in the story could not possibly be true about him based on when he lived. And that's how myths and legends morph and evolve over time. And then what Lyonel says, right, about like 4,000 years ago, the first joust on this field, and men cannot have devised it. And so much of this episode, it lived in that like age of heroes long ago. Where were the myths that we tell each other now born? And the characters who hear them want to become that myth for the next generation.
And watching Dunk, who when he's asked, is that short for Duncan? He's like,
yes.
Sure. And in the book, it's clear he doesn't know.
Yeah.
So Duncan is not a name that he's familiar with. And then Lyonel Baratheon inside this episode is like, be tall. So he's like, the tall. Okay, yes. Duncan the Tall is a name that was just sort of cobbled together from what different people said to him inside of this episode. So we're watching a myth be born inside of this story. What other aspects of the myth will we accrue over the next few episodes?
Now, the Thrones novels are told in POV style. The House of the Dragon stuff is based essentially on like a historical, but not always reliable.
Multiple
sources.
Multiple sources.
Would you guys characterize these novellas as reliable? Like, or
I think in that they are so firmly rooted in one person's POV, they can't be entirely reliable. But I think we're supposed to take sort of like historical detail as fact.
Yeah. Okay. And so, but the novellas are from Dunk's
point
perspective.
of view.
You're in his head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a second character here. We'll obviously get to him as we learn more about him. He seems to have a bit of something to him.
What did you think of this performance? This is like a really tough, like a child actor is like tough to cast.
The thing that jumped out at me was, this is why TV is good, is because you meet people that you haven't seen before. Like, and they make stars, they don't hire stars. And we've gotten very far away from that for better and worse over the last like 10 years. Thanks to Nicole Kidman and Matthew McConaughey and all sorts of people who have come off the big screen.
Coming for Kidman.
No, I mean,
lately.
I just think it's indicative of Nicole Kidman brings a whole series of baggage and experiences that we've had with her for the last 30 years when she takes a TV role.
Yeah.
People playing Dunk and Egg, we do not have,
well,
we don't know anything about them.
One notable exception, which, I've mentioned before.
A few times.
I think Peter Claffey is just fantastic as Dunk, like almost better than you could have dared to hope for. Dunk is a canonical virgin, not sure. No shade, just a fact. Not sure if you could tell from the way that he looked
no shade directly to me.
No shade to you, a canonical version. No, he's supposed to be like 15 or 16 also.
Yeah, he's
like,
right. As is often the case in the Throne Show, they've aged him up.
Yeah.
Peter Claffey in season 2 of Bad Sisters bagged Eve Hewson's character, and I'm supposed to believe this guy has it fucked.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Other than that, no notes. I thought the egg was fantastic.
Yeah,
I thought the texture was fantastic.
It's also like, it's really smart to make the two main characters relative unknowns, aside from Bad Sisters heads, and then populate the outskirts of the show with like incredibly seasoned UK
folks you've seen.
Actors.
Yeah.
So Daniel Ings owns the 6 minutes of screen time that he has. But like, I'm very excited to see the other people that they bring into the series. As people who've watched the trailers know, Finn Bennett is in this show. I'm a big fan of his. So
Birdie.
Of True Detective.
Very pumped for that.
Yeah.
What else do I want to ask you guys?
You want to talk about Lyonel Baratheon?
Let's do it.
Yeah. What's up with the horns?
Well, House Baratheon, they have, that's their sigil, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of horns. It's very Gaston and Beauty and the Beast of him.
I think we should do every subsequent episode of Talk the Thrones in the antler helm. I think it's frankly a dereliction of duty that we didn't today.
You say helm. Yeah. I should say it's quite crown-like.
It's a crown.
And this is what's very important about the Baratheons is that when the Targaryens conquered, the House Baratheon is like the first of the oldest houses. And you will remember that Robert Baratheon eventually becomes the first non-Targaryen king after Aegon's conquest. So the Baratheons have always been like,
it should be us.
Should we be king, though? And so the fact that Lyonel's here with a giant antler crown is audacious.
It
I would
is-
say
It
audacity.
is bold. I would say not as bold as one other aspect, which was to incorporate the antlers on the hilt of the dagger. I just thought seemed like a safety hazard. If you leave it, he's very drunk as he knows. He's
Especially
dancing a lot.
Dancing, yeah.
Lean over once. That's an eye. It's an eye gouged out. I thought that he was fucking amazing.
So
and I
good.
think the decision to allow us and Dunk to spend more time with him sooner is like kind of a master stroke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic. Just because like
Because
fleshing out character sets.
in the novellas, it takes a while to meet him, or
He's just a much, much smaller character in the novellas. It's not that he's not important. It's just the novellas are so lean that you're with Dunk and Egg and not very many people outside of that. And so what they've decided to do in this season is, while still keeping it lean, 6 episodes, less than an hour each, they're like, what if we get to know Raymond Fossaway a little
Yes.
better,
Right.
or Lyonel Baratheon a little better,
Yes.
et cetera, et cetera. And so
it's also like a really nice, like off speed pitch to have Han Solo come in midway through this episode and just
Yeah.
be like, I drink and screw and like dance and like we'll kind
Goals,
of
man.
we'll
For
mix it
real.
up a little bit here.
Yeah. The Laughing Storm, one of the sickest monikers in Westerosi history. We've got a couple great ones coming in this season
So
of
is-
TV, but the Laughing Storm is just iconic.
I really think it's top tier. But do you think the implication that the story that he's telling is that he
Mhm.
like steered into a storm and was laughing all the while he did, whereas actually he's called the Laughing Storm because he makes fun of all the people on the tourney field.
beats them.
He beats them, takes their
takes
helms,
their jewels
Okay.
off their
off and
armor,
laughs at them.
laughs in their fucking face,
So he
and then it's
got a-
like favorite of the commons.
He
Yeah.
got kind of like a sicker backstory
I love
inside of this
even just
episode.
the salt. You could taste the salt on the air. There was something so poetic and almost hypnotic about listening to him tell the story. But the other thing I loved about it was it puts him and Dunk into a plane of shared understanding. I want to test myself. I want to prove myself. And then we are pulled right back out of that when Dunk is basically like, easy for you
Right.
to say.
The
Like,
stakes are different
luxury
for you.
of your
Yeah.
position. If you lose out there, it affects you not at all, unless you take a wound or you're grievously injured, which
Right.
of course
If
is
I
always
lose,
a risk of the
yeah,
tourney.
I'm out. All my money, I'm out.
He will have nothing.
I have
That will be it.
I can't even get his horse back.
No.
What I loved about there's something poetic about this drunken lout lord, and it reminded me a lot of Tyrion, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
drunk Tyrion, but also
Yes.
that poetry, that lyricism is there, and I just
also
really
like
liked
maybe
him.
a keen observer of human behavior and like being
Mhm.
able to see like there's something different about this guy.
Yeah.
Even if he's like, it's just one night, I'm hammered, like we're just talking here.
Yeah.
But to like spot him, ask him a question, be amused by him, and then spend the evening with him, but also try and stomp on his feet. Yeah.
That was great. If I were to ask for anything in addition inside of that tent scene, I would have said, can we get a longer montage of Dunk just eating stuff?
Yeah.
Because he gets
That was
like,
incredible.
Yeah.
he gets the
Absolutely
giant
incredible.
like turkey leg or whatever that he's eating, and then like a pastry. But I was like, we could have just cut to Dunk like
My favorite
scamming
moment
food the whole night.
when Lionel's like, "What did you bring me?" and he like quickly looks at the like half-eaten pastry in his hand. He's like, and then Lionel just kind of, every man either wants your help or your head, and Dunk is like, I just wanted supper. By the way, one note on Raymond Fossaway, a character we love, kind of fucked Dunk here. He's like, "You hungry? Let me bring you into Lyonel Baratheon's tent. Gonna fill your goblet, and then I'm out."
Well,
And it's on you to figure out how to navigate this
Irish
circumstance
goodbyes
with the
are tough,
laughing
man. Yeah.
storm.
Greenwald does that. You know?
I'm all on board with not saying goodbye to people at a party, actually. I think it ends up adding
very on
like
brand for
90
you.
minutes.
I just
Yeah.
did this to you the other day. Didn't
You
I?
did it to me, and then I spent the next 90 minutes wishing that I had followed your lead and your counsel.
Yeah.
What a lesson that was. Yeah, the scene was great. Will we be recreating the dance on Instagram?
No, but
Glad-
can I just be on brand and add
Think
one?
about it.
I like to yes and, but I'm no butting that. But I'm gonna add a musical reference and say this was very the like bottle dance L'Chaim Fiddler on the
Mhm.
Roof
Yes.
was like
Oh, yeah.
the way this was shot, and it just filled me with so
a lot
much
of fan
joy.
edits are going to
Yeah.
come out of this.
It's
Oh,
really
God.
good.
Those guys dancing to "Call Me
Wow.
Maybe," whatever it is. you know,
Lionel's
like-
Lionel's like whirling dervish skirt
Yeah, that
like
was
moment was
incredible.
just like really
The
incredible.
earring, the hair.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the horse, Chris?
they seem like nice ladies. It was good sense of humor.
Big
I-
episode for gingers.
What's up with
Water
the
red hair,
gal with
red.
the coins on her eyes?
Well, she's pretend. It's a very Roman and Tabitha from Succession. You're meant to be dead. Sorry, the morgue is closed.
Well, that was what I was. Is that some
You
guy's
know?
kink?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
Seems
Uh-huh.
like it.
I
Seems
I want
like
to.
it.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
want to say it into a microphone. I want to pretend I'm fucking a dead person. The
Is
character.
that clip for socials?
To be clear, the character in the show.
Jomi's like thumbs up.
Yeah, but we've seen the painted eyes on like Taiwan, a dead characters.
I think Chris was merely asking, why a dead girl?
Yeah, but I was like, it was for someone's kink, is what I was asking.
As Littlefinger would tell you, to any man with enough coin in their purse. Not for us. But in the world of Game of Thrones, you can figure it out.
So to be clear, we're just clipping that one part. Okay, great.
I thought that there are not a lot of women in the Hedge Knight.
Correct.
Okay? Not a lot of women. Tanzel is there. Again, the tournament is for Lord.
Does the Hedge Knight pass the Bechdel test?
I would say deeply not.
Definitively not. And so
unless two of the horses are women and they're like nickering to each other at some point, perhaps.
Benny, Daisy, Red, very much in, obviously Game of Thrones features more the women, but very much in the like Roz tradition here of we are going to introduce a whore into the story who is not only a source of humor and charm,
that's the
but of insight.
We go with whore
in this story. Just adhering to the canon.
I just wanted to be on the right page. Yeah,
that's all. Did you feel a particular pull toward either of the Fossways? Sir Stefan or Raymond?
I like how Stefan talked his shit.
This is this is really akin to Chris being like, I'm Team Green during House of the Dragon.
I just liked how Stefan was like, I'm full court pressing up 15 points with like a minute left. You know what I mean? Like he's like, there's no breaks here. So I enjoyed that.
Interesting.
My last bit that I wanted to ask you guys about was about the Falling Star. Which is a perfect encapsulation of why the show is good. I think you can watch that and just feel it on its merits.
Yep.
But I gather and / sort of remember falling stars being pretty important.
You're sort of like the red comet.
Yeah.
Same thing?
Not really, but like,
no. That's fine. Symbolism everywhere. It's fine.
It's fine. No, here. I'll give you something. Here.
Okay.
And I'll say, as Mal was mentioning earlier, when Duncan sees the falling star, it's an internal monologue. The luck is mine alone.
Yes.
To change it to the luck is ours alone as a conversation between Dunk and Egg, I think was like a really good addition.
Cool. It was also the idea that all these rich guys with the roofs over their heads,
they're looking
they
up at silk.
Don't know about like the wonders of the world.
What a great way to reposition it's such a classic Thrones wear it like armor moment, right? Okay, other people are going to say, even like Sweet Egg is like, I would have put up your pavilion. Yeah, Trees Leak is straight from the novella. So good.
Yeah.
I would have put up your pavilion, but like I couldn't find one, and Dunk can't afford a pavilion, so he doesn't have one. And in the novella, he's kind of like, I would not feel like comfortable here.
He's like, they're all going to make fun of me.
Yeah, and or they'd be nice to me, and that would be worse, right? And then in the show, he kind of like moseys through, and he's like, I got to go find like a quieter accommodation, right? This idea that the lack of your own pavilion, your tent. He's wearing Sir Arlen's winged chalice shield. He's carrying another man's arms and sigil, like all this stuff, trying to figure out who he is and where he fits in the world.
Oh, that sword is his by right.
Fits better in his hand than ever fit in Sir Arlen's.
What a weird thing to say. Says Stefan Fossaway. That was a weird thing to say.
Sir Stefan was right. It is a weird and conspicuous thing to say.
It's my sword, and I'm supposed to have it.
Dunk, take some Imodium AD, and then just like take a deep breath and chill, my guy.
He's like, I have anxiety, and I have anxiety about my anxiety.
But like the fact that is a source of anxiety or vulnerability or insecurity, right? And to spin it to like, what edge can I find inside of that? What edge can my new squire and I find inside of that? It's such like a lovely, the world of Game of Thrones can be so bleak and so grim. Moments like that, Tyrion's wear it like armor. We loved that Laris scene with
Laris. I did not have a Laris mention on the cards for today.
Armor moment. It's something like this, which is I think a subtler version of it, still taps into that core idea of like, then it can't be used to hurt you.
Sure.
Wear it like armor. I love it. I love it.
Let's do a little housekeeping. So on House of R,
yes,
will you be discussing this show with the full knowledge of what happens in the books?
We'll do what we usually do, which is like a section. We'll have like a book spoiler section at the end.
People might be watching this. They're like, you haven't said this, you haven't said that.
We'll be going deep, scene by scene through the entire episode.
And also like perhaps
a book spoiler section.
A book spoiler section.
Yeah.
Which, I think that this show works on both levels. I think you can watch it episode to episode, or you can have the total knowledge of where it's going. And it's still very It's still a pleasure. It's a pleasure to talk to both of you.
What a
Will
Thank
you
you
be
joy.
so
covering
much.
this show on The Watch?
We will be.
Great.
It is on Industry Corner, so we'll be splitting a little bit of time. But
Yeah. When will we see Egg in Industry? Sally Draper's there, Jonathan
I mean,
Myers
honestly,
there.
Industry season 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. Egg comes.
yeah.
Thanks so much for talking to me, Mal, Joe, House of R. Will we go Monday or Tuesday, or when do you guys think it'll go up?
Tuesday night. We'll
Tuesday-ish,
record
yeah.
Tuesday
Tuesday night.
morning. So depending on how long we go and how much caffeine Carlos has. Shout out Aleya. Shout out Carlos. Shout out Arjuna. Shout out Jomi. The whole crew is here with
Everybody.
us today.
Yeah.
Hannah and Ratliff surprised us with all of our
Our
set deck
decor,
today.
yeah.
Just the squad. The best as always.
Total pleasure. See you guys next week.
See ya.